Hi, welcome to this week's Art Talk. So, just to hark back to last week's when I was talking about art being free, I'd like to give you this quote from Margarita Lasky. Margarita was a British journalist and writer living from 1915 to 1988. And in 1981, she wrote this. From the belief that art can be enlisted for causes, it has usually been only a short step when the enforcing power is there, to the practice of allowing exposure only to that art believed to foster the desired ideals. As a reminder, we assume that a true work of art is always a living organism and therefore presents itself in exchange with the viewer as something that is always in motion. So it's always a backwards and forwards. The artwork is sending out something, you are looking at it with your ideas. The first decisive step is, of course, it must be pleasing. Otherwise, you'll walk past it and not notice it. It is therefore necessary we master the craft of recognizing something when we see it in order to become aware of it. Far too often, because we are so flooded with images, we don't actually see them anymore. And then we make a judgment, which forms the basis for further judgments that elevate the purely personal, my subjective idea, to a generally well-founded judgment of art. The judgment, which goes beyond the personal, is then in a position to communicate sensibly with other people about art. We experience that in all rational beings there is the possibility of a judgment about beauty, said Cusanus in 1456. So, the self-referentiality of art. A work of art refers only to itself and not to anything outside of itself, because it is always in relation to itself. It also stands against any kind of alienation. Thus, a poster is not a work of art, since a poster seeks the attention and the purpose of drawing attention for something that is not within it, but outside it. So if you see a poster advertising, I don't know, a new brand of milkshake or protein bar, you're not actually going to get that protein bar or that milkshake from that poster. You're going to have to go to the supermarket to go and get it. That's why a poster is not art. It can be made using artistic tools, it can be very creative, but it's not a work of art, because a work of art has no purpose, as I said last week. To explain self-referentiality in a simple way, we turn to literature. And for example, in a rhyme, the word love rhymes with dove. And the word dove refers to love, backwards and forwards. Both references, backward references, forward references, is exactly the same in art. A work of art actually uses a sign to refer to another sign. It is an open system of signs within itself, the openness of a work of art. Viewing art is always a practice in understanding the other, and a natural practice in understanding the otherness of the other. So the more art you see, the more books you read, the more you understand that there are people out there that are different from you, that have had different experiences. And the more we understand this, the less likely we might be to go out and murder them. Sorry, a bit of an extreme example, but you know. So understanding the other is, of course, the best protection against aggression towards others. If this possibility of art is no longer taught in schools, where art lessons have been largely cancelled or changed, then the creative power of art in relation to living and getting along with other people is lost. There has always been a great tendency to attribute a purpose in art to art in order to justify it, as it were. But this has also been repeatedly criticized for equal length of time. And since we have Immanuel Kant's aesthetic categories, that art must be free of all intentions, just as the creator and the recipient of art must be autonomous, i.e. I need to be a free artist, is just as important. Kant freely formulates here that art must be purposeless but meaningful. Accordingly, the only purpose inherent in art is its freedom from purpose. In order to establish this reality space for freedom in art. For art, art must naturally negate the realities given by nature and human beings. And if it wouldn't do this, it would always be directly dependent on what actually exists. It would be imitating in the sense of copying. We can therefore say that art does not seize the factual, but the possible, which goes beyond the factual and therefore expands the given for people. This gives people the freedom to grasp an expanded world of experience beyond the everyday. So if we look at this picture, these two women sitting here can't actually be sitting here. It actually doesn't work because steps are going this way and they're sitting this way. So this piece of work, you could say, it doesn't need the outside. Now I can tell you that I drew this from a sketch I made on Frinton Beach in the UK. Do you need to know that? Completely irrelevant. It won't disturb your appreciation of the work of art. For me, this work of art is also about lines. It's going about directions. There are different directions we can go in. Yeah, the horizontal, the vertical, the diagonal. It's about friendship of these two women who seem to be having a nice time sitting together here. Here there's a couple. Here there's a family. Here there's another couple. It's about togetherness. It's about a sunny day. It's free from purpose. It doesn't refer to anything outside of itself. You can get all this information by just looking at this one painting. You might never have sat on a beach like this, but you can still get some of the feeling of the fun that it might be. So there you go. That's my talk this week. It's self-referential, doesn't refer to anything outside itself. It doesn't have to be correct anatomically or physically or naturalistically. It has to give you more. And it has to be open. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed this art talk, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.